Afternoon, everyone. Great to see you all, even in these fantastic conditions that are out there for all you outdoor enthusiasts. But I appreciate you taking your time to join us. We've got an interesting program today. I'm just going to share my screen and take you through that before we kick off and start. And here we go. Okay, is that up on screen for everyone? Fergus?
Nothing there, Stuart.
All right, okay, I'll come back in again. And there we go. That should be it now.
That's us.
Okay,
do you want to get it in presentation mode?
Yeah, well, it's my laptop's deciding to play up here. I'll just come out the main screen. And oh, technicalities today.
That's on my screen now, Stuart.
Okay, thanks, Matt. I've got nothing on my screen, so I'll just blag it now. Yeah, we're having a wee copy here. So let's.
Why don't you try coming out of Zoom and coming out as?
Yeah, I'm going to just come out. It's for some reason my screen's not. Oh, there it is. Is that sharing screen now?
Yeah, but it's just in the. It's not in the normal sort of presentation style.
Yeah. Well, we'll just need to rather than delay. Let's just go on. So, thanks very much today, folks. Carrying on. The subject of today is sustainability. We've flipped the running order of the workshop primarily because sustainability is becoming such a driving issue that's coming more to the fore. Now, I don't need to be preaching to you guys. Everyone on the call today and in part of the program has sustainability at the heart of your business. But it's more from a consumer's perspective, and that's, I think, what we're going to be covering today. So we're delighted that we've got Andrea Nicholas, CEO of Green Tourism, founder of Green Tourism, who Andrea and I worked before. We did a programme for Green Tourism over in Northern Ireland in County Down. And it was a really great programme. We had about 120 businesses participate in that. And ended up County Down being recognised as a sustainable destination, and they actually moved to get a full accreditation gold certification, which really helped profile and position the destination. So Andrea's going to be talking about it from the consumer's perspective and her engagement, not just in a UK perspective. Green Tourism have schemes running in Africa and Canada. We've also got Helen Lavery from Zero Waste Scotland joining us. I'm going to talk about circular economy and tourism. And then Matt and Andy are going to give just short talks on their businesses and their approach to sustainability and different angles on that. Something that we've picked up in the discussions with all of you in the one-to-ones. having fun and games here. Now got no screen.
Can I pick up this? Can
You
I
can-
pick up the?
No, there we go. That's it. Come up at last, I think. Yeah. So the takeaway is that it?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, fine. Okay. So just as before, takeaways from the last workshop from Andrew and Leslie. Being discoverable and bookable is key for your business. And that's the questions that were asked is, what online booking system is best for your business? What OTA and channel management is best for your business? Look at your digital audits from Visit Scotland and take the actions necessary. Now, I know a couple of you have still to get those done, but I'm sure that you will get round to that. Also then on your own website, is it HTTPS secure? Is it mobile friendly? And does it have a good download speed? And that's from a point of view about being discoverable, and especially on the Google environment and how they pick that up. And then from Leslie, we heard some great case studies and the directory that's on all the travel tech companies that are out there and based within Scotland. And I think a couple of you have already been in touch and asking for some information. But why sustainability? Well, maybe I decided just a wee throwback, and I'm going to show you a short video for about 2 minutes.
Change is coming. No, change is already here. You can see it in our politics, our economy, technology, and the climate. Change. The secret is to view it as an opportunity, not a problem. An opportunity to think about what we do and how we can do it better. Tourism needs to change. We need to think about the impact we have on the environment. We need to think about the impact we have on infrastructure, communities, businesses, people. In Scotland, we're good at thinking. Our thinking, point of fact, has changed the world more than once. So let's think seriously about tourism in Scotland and for Scotland. Let's think about shifting from attracting volume to delivering greater value for our nation and for our local communities. Let's think about the people who live and work in our country, who work in your businesses. Today is when that thinking turns to action, when change happens, a new era, a new approach. One that's brave, outward-looking, forward-thinking, responsive, collaborative, and with people at its heart. An approach that will enrich the lives of those who live here and those who visit. That will preserve our places for future generations by delivering responsible tourism. For we want everyone in Scotland to experience the benefits of tourism now and for many years to come. That's not just what we think we need to do, it's what we must do, together. And by working together, Scotland will succeed. By putting our communities, our people, our visitors, our businesses and our environment at the heart of everything we do, we will make the most of change and make Scotland the world leader in 21st century tourism.
So that's a short video that Scotland Outlook, which was launched about 11 months ago at the STA conference. A lot has changed there. And as I said earlier, the outdoors is your product, and you're obviously very, very conscious of it. But perhaps not enough people in Scotland have been aware of the sustainability and the responsible tourism approach. And therefore, it's great to see that Scotland is taking a lead on this with some quite challenging and quite not overreaching, but strong ambitions. That world leader in 21st century tourism, strong mission and commitments. And there's an action plan that's been developed. It's probably been knocked off course a wee bit in the past 11 months because of COVID, but it's something that at least the rest of the country is beginning to get behind what you guys are already doing. But the reason I think we need to focus on sustainability today and looking ahead is, consumers are the driver of change. That video was talking about change. It's the consumers that are driving change today, and they are looking for it. And a Euromonitor research that was just recently completed showed that 76% of consumers are more concerned about sustainability after COVID. That adds great value, great opportunity for Scotland, opportunity for the Highlands and the Islands. And it's so much so that Condé Nast, which is one of the leading travel publications in the world, global publication, announced a list of 10 sustainable destinations to visit in 2021. That's albeit that we're able to do these visits and not spend 10 days in a hotel once the visitors arrive, once that's all relaxed. And those destinations have Scotland included. So Scotland's on the radar in terms of sustainability, in terms of the tourism. I think what we need to do is make it more integral to all tourism, and that's something that will come forward. The link at the bottom will give you, when we send through the slides, we'll give you a link to the article in Condé Nast, the online article. And just to wind up before I hand over to Andrea and Helen to take us through the presentations today, just as a reminder, the programme workshop is next week. We've got the first of the travel trade workshops with Yvonne Wagoon leading on that for us. And then the second one will be on the 3rd of March. What I'd like to think about over the next few weeks and fire back to us is the workshops in October, November. On the 4th and the workshop 4 and 5 is the residential. Are there any preferred days that you've got? Is a Sunday, Monday good, or a Monday, Tuesday, or a Tuesday, Wednesday? We'll try to get a consensus that works around and fits into there. And of course, Fergus and I will be touching base with you in March to go through some of the one-to-one sessions. That's really all I've got to say today. You'll say thankfully, and we'll hand over now to Andrea, who will then take us through her presentation. And we can go from there. Andrea, are you ready to go?
I am. I've just nicked your screen. Can you see that?
Started. Yep.
My screen. Good. Right. Good morning. Good morning. Good afternoon, everybody. Even I know what time of day it is. Hi. I'm going to talk to you today about green tourism, and actually the fact, as Stuart's quite clearly laid out, that the world is getting greener. Probably pre-COVID it was getting greener, but actually what we're seeing is there's a big bounce back on sustainability, and what we're hearing from the experts and from all the research is that actually it's actually moved sustainability forward. The COVID issue, the issues that have come up around wildlife and caring for people and things like that, has actually moved sustainability and the demand for sustainable options forward probably by about 5 years. So it's very relevant that you're talking about this now. And just to give you some examples of how that's moved forward just in the last year, Visit Scotland have now set up a responsible tourism department within their organisation, and they are out there doing a lot in terms of social and getting the voice out there about Scotland being a responsible tourism destination. They've also recently declared a climate emergency. They did that at the same time as Wild Scotland. So they've actually made a commitment as an organisation to reduce their carbon footprint. Booking.com research that they've been doing showing that 71% of people want more sustainable options on their site to book, and actually 86% of travellers, when they're actually on holiday, would be happy to do something to help the environment, a litter pick or work with locals and things like that. So sustainability's not gone off the agenda, it's moved up the agenda, and even the United Nations have a whole campaign around bounce back and build back better. So sustainability is a key part of that. Just some additional stats. Stuart nicked my first fact, that's fine. 76% more concerned about sustainability. The UK government research, this is all done during lockdown, remember, so it's all last year when we were all sitting around. Britons believe that the health of the people and planet are inseparable and it's time for change. 25% of the British public said that sustainable tourism is now more important. That's gone up 14% since the pandemic started. And it's not about less, it's actually about more of the things that matter. And that's something that Earthchange has said. So businesses and consumers are interested. And in fact, the growing trend is now a new term. So we have sustainable tourism, but the new term is regenerative, if I can say it, travel. And actually customers are looking now to be interactive and want to help heal the destination they visit, understanding that they have an impact when they're on holiday, and they want to leave the places they visit better than when they actually found it. The stats at the bottom there is from Rough Guides, just they've identified recently their 9 travel trends for 2021, and the top 3 are surge in sustainability, number 1, 2, increase in female travellers, and 3, an obvious one, an increase in domestic travel. So consumers and customers are looking for more options, especially, I would say, the younger population. Definitely millennials are actually expecting sustainability to be built into their products and expecting those kind of options to be there. So if you're not including it, which I'm sure you are, it's something that you need to think about. I've got a series of what I'm calling top 5 tips, which hopefully will be relevant and useful to you. The first one is about engaging with your customers and showing them that you care. It's about influencing people and encouraging them by showing that you actually care, and being transparent about it, being proud about what you're doing. So supporting a biodiversity, social, environmental charities. So there's things like World Land Trust, where you can buy an acre of rainforest. 1% for the Planet is a growing global initiative. It's started in America, where you give 1% of your profits towards the planet. And then social projects like toilet twinning, they actually do things like bin twinning and tap twinning and things like that. So it's about providing facilities for people in developing worlds. And it's very much about what you can do locally, but also what you can do globally. And use that information on your website, in your social platforms. Make sure you're very obvious about it in your literature, and be transparent. Don't greenwash. So if you can't substantiate what you're doing, you shouldn't really be talking about it. And there's a great example of what Wilderness Scotland have got on their website. They talk about sustainable tourism, and they show people how they can get involved with the local conservation project, leave no trace, and contributing to conservation. And they've also declared a climate emergency, so it's something you might want to look at. Tip 2 is about sharing your green story. Again, it's about helping your customers understand that you as a business are committed to this, and sharing your green story, but being very personal about it. Make it specific to your business. Stuart mentioned that we've got projects international. So one of our newest members is actually in the Falkland Islands, and they're doing massive amounts, obviously, in conservation. Tell people why it's important. Website, social media, or maybe blackboard on the arrivals, or some kind of literature you might have on your bus or your minibus or whatever. And I think the big thing here is about language. It's about trying to influence your guests and your visitors, not preaching. We don't want people to think that you're being worthy, which can be something that green businesses can sometimes be portrayed as. It's not about worthy, it's about this is really important. If we don't do something about it, then things are going to be seriously difficult in the future. And telling the green story, we have a page on our website where we encourage all of our businesses who are involved to send their green story, and then we'll put up that for people to tell them. Because what we do find when we start talking to businesses is that something like 90% of businesses actually aren't telling their green story. They might be telling people about what's local and whatever, but they don't talk about themselves and why sustainability and green measures are important to them as a business. Top tip number 3 is invite your business, your customers to be involved. As I said at the beginning, 86% of people, according to Booking.com, want to do something when they're on holiday. So find ways of actually getting them to engage. So a give back or visitor giving scheme is something you could consider, where you might be encouraging them to donate a certain amount of additional, £1 a trip, or suggesting they go onto a website. The document that's in the top left-hand corner is one that was done by Nurture Lakeland for Visit England. They run the most successful visitor giving program in the UK, and it's been going now for over 20 years. So if you want to find some examples of how you can do that, they do things like projects for red squirrels. They do building back footpaths in the fells and things like that. So it's got a lot of examples of what you can do. Carbon contribution is another potential option here. So this is the Argyle's walking tours, actually on their how to find us, how to get to us website, part of the website. They've got some information about how much carbon you would use in getting to them, and how many trees you could plant to actually offset it. So you might want to do something like that. And make it fun, make it easy. Again, it's about influencing. It's not about telling people off and having lots of rules. Provide the equipment. So we have businesses who, for instance, provide litter picking equipment when people are on walks, things like that. And in fact, we've got an example in Cornwall where they actually encourage people to pick up the litter, and then when they bring back the bag, they get given a little voucher, £2.50 off a cup of tea and a cake in the cafe, or it could be something towards the next time they come on one of your trips. Include it within your activities. People might be actually quite interested in doing a bit of repairing to footpaths or building walls. And that leave no trace is really important, considering what's in the packed lunches. Are you avoiding single-use plastic? Are you giving them a branded water bottle that they can take away, and it's a marketing thing rather than having to have plastic water bottles? And simple things like how long it takes for things to actually disappear into the ground. So one of our members in Walking Trails down in Hampshire actually provides a little box that people can use if they're smokers to put their cigarette butts in, so they're not throwing them away when they're on the walking tour. And encouraging people to recycle, bring things back, making sure that you stop on the way back from your trip at the recycling centre. Hey guys, there's somewhere to put all your recycling products. So it's getting people to help the destination. Top tip number 4 is probably an obvious one, but it is promote or use local. So if you do provide food, packed lunches, or you take people to a cafe at lunchtime, make sure that it's local, make sure you're promoting that, make sure it's on your website, that they know in advance that they're going to have a local experience. But also hero the local culture. So it's not just about the landscape and about the food, it's about people who live there, how they used to live, and how they currently live, how the fishermen catch the fish, or how the creels are built, that things like that people are interested in, traditions and stories, that kind of thing. And there's a real trend at the moment within sustainability to give people authentic experiences. So live and eat like a local. And find those hidden gems, those things that actually aren't on the normal list that you see on Visit Scotland's website, the kind of things that they would feel they've really experienced something very special that only you've been able to show them in that destination. Top tip number 5 is get recognition. And I know a lot of you out there have done that already. There's obviously national awards like the Vibes Awards and the Thistle Awards. The Thistle Awards are actually on hold this year. They're just about to kick off sometime later in the spring for next year. And they are being completely overhauled in partnership with Visit Scotland. So sustainability is going to be a core factor in all of the Thistle Awards. And it's something that you won't be even to be able to enter it unless you can demonstrate that you are really doing quite a lot in sustainability. There are international awards as well. So the Responsible Tourism Awards, which is given out every year at World Travel Market, Tourism for Tomorrow, which is an international award. And then there are other awards like non-tourism awards, like the Global Good Awards, Queen's Award for Enterprise, and we've got a number of examples of businesses that have gone for those and achieved accreditation. If you are looking for what awards are out there, there's a great website, which I've put down at the bottom left-hand corner there, which is boost-awards.co.uk. And you can sort on the different types of awards, whether it's environmental, sustainability, outdoor activities, whatever. And it tells you when the award deadlines are and links to the website so you can see. And then obviously, we would be encouraging you to consider going for a recognition in terms of certification. And I'm sure some of you will have heard of Green Tourism, some of you might be members of Green Tourism, but we've also been going through a redesign, if you like, keeping ourselves up to speed with technology, with new initiatives, but also stepping into the digital side of things. So we've actually been running now since 1997, so 23 years we've been running. We've done in that time over 15,000 assessments, and we actually now cover 19 different countries. Because of our digital approach now, we are able to assess businesses across the world. I said the Falkland Islands, we've got quite a few in Europe actually, and a couple in the States. We've just got a new one in Jamaica, which is I'd love to go and visit, but no, I'm not allowed to do that. So in 2019, we had 41 million visitors actually visited a green tourism visitor attraction or went on a holiday with an activity provider. So there was a lot of exposure to a lot of people. There were 21 million bed nights in green tourism accommodation during that period. And in terms of wildlife and adventure tourism members, we have 90 across the whole of the UK and our international side of things. So there's 48 of them in Scotland, which is good, 23 in England, 4 in Wales, 6 in Northern Ireland, and 7 internationally. As I said, we've been going through a reorganisation and a redesign. So the criteria have been updated and we've gone digital. So we now have a digital platform, which is called Green Check. So when you become a member, or if you are a member, you will get access to this portal. We have redesigned our criteria to make it more accessible, more interactive, and we've split it into 3 pillars, which is caring for people, caring for places, and caring for our planet. And within each of those sections, there are 5 sustainability goals. The way the digital platform works is that as you see this dashboard to begin with, and then you click on any of those icons, and it takes you through a series of questions. You have to answer them, you have to provide evidence, you can ask for help along the way, you can ask your assessor for some guidance, support, you can send us an email, you can set up a Zoom call or an appointment with an online diary, all sorts of interactive processes that allow us to keep you up to speed with things, but also for you as a business wanting to get that award, that you can do it at your own pace when you're ready for it, and when you are ready for your assessment, that each of the icons tells you in real time what score you're likely to achieve when you actually go for your assessment. So you submit for your assessment, and then your assessor will talk you through, review what you've done, ask for more evidence, maybe do a Zoom call, and if need be, we'll do a site assessment. And from that, you get an action plan on what you're going to do, and hopefully you would achieve one of the bronze, silver, or gold awards. So that's the way that green tourism is progressing. And we have also within the new criteria included reference to COVID and pandemics. We've also aligned all of our goals and criteria with the Sustainable Development Goals, which is something that internationally is becoming more and more important for businesses to report on. So to find out more, please check out our website, get involved with our campaigns. We've got a campaign that we've been running for the last few months and will continue through the whole of this year, which is about staycations, obviously promoting to the British market in particular, but using local, shopping local. Follow us on social media, get involved in that. We are working closely with Wild Scotland. We've always had a very good relationship with Wild Scotland in the past, and we're talking to them about how we can review our criteria and make them, they are very adaptable and they are very applicable to all types of businesses, including wildlife and adventure tourism, but we want to try and maybe adjust some of the language, maybe potentially add in additional criteria that might be particularly relevant to your sector. And that's something that we're going to be doing with Wild Scotland and with our members, and with hopefully with you as a group as well over the next 2 or 3 months, so that we can launch something in spring, summer this year that's very, very bespoke to particularly to your sector. And I can't go without mentioning COP, which is obviously happening in November, and that's a big focus for Scotland. A lot of things going on around COP, actually not just in Scotland, across the UK. We're getting a lot of businesses interested in wanting to make statements and be involved, and we will have more and more campaigns building up towards COP in November. So please get in touch. There's an email inquiry there if you want to get in touch with us, either if you want to be involved with the review, you want to find out more about joining, or you just want to find out more about some of the stats that I've mentioned along the way. So thank you very much. That's me.
Andrea, we've had a question in from Paul Sharman from Sky Ferry. Was this asking, does the Green Check portal replace the manual pre-assessment checklist?
Yes, it does, and it's very, very. We still have a manual pre-assessment, but it's completely optional. It's not mandatory. It's there for you to use. But absolutely, if you want to work your way through the process, then the portal is there for you to do that.
Okay, thank you.
That's great, Andrea. Thanks very much for that. I think I just made a couple of notes, and I think one of the things is just in that presentation, especially towards the end, is that the journey you've been on since we did the County Down Green Tourism project, to the way you've gone digital and you've become much more consumer focused as well, or addressing those or trying to engage the consumer.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've always had consumer measures within the criteria. I think what we found with COVID is that there's been quite a significant shift. The environmental issues haven't gone away, but the social and the local and the wildlife and the natural side of things has become much more equal. I suppose maybe in the past, environment was like the most important and everything else sort of came behind. Well, now actually those issues are becoming and the consumer demand and the consumer interest is something that wasn't there way back. I mean, it has been growing, but I would say that there's a significant shift now over the last couple of years, and definitely since COVID. So
one of those sort of a key takeaway from this, which you alluded to, is about the narrative that each of these businesses are using on their own websites in terms of how to really engage and tell that story to the consumer when they're looking in at their websites. So it's really looking at that, making sure it's hitting the right tone.
Yeah, I think so. And as I said, so few people actually tell their own green story. And I think that's really important. And I'm sure that a lot of you will be doing that anyway, but it's be proud about what you're doing and influence rather than try and this kind of like the language side of it is really important.
And also then the other things, the ideas which we talked a bit about before in the project with you guys is about the collaboration. So collaboration with someone at the end of a trip, with this cafe or whatever it is, you can actually add value to the actual offer, the proposition that the businesses are offering. Okay, anyone else? There's another question there, Andrew.
Question from Andrew: does 1% of the planet still take 20% of money raised for admin?
I don't know the answer to that question. I'd have to go and research that. That doesn't sound good. We have got a number of businesses, especially in Canada, that have quite happy to sign up to it. But if that's the case, that doesn't sound too good. So I'd need to look into that.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things, if you're partnering with these sort of organisations, is to do your homework and check out, do a bit of due diligence.
Yeah.
Not that I'm being negative about charities, but sometimes they do get a bit of bad press for the wrong reasons.
Yeah. And actually, you're probably best to try and find a local charity that you can work with, maybe necessarily than an international one.
Okay, good. Thank you. No more questions for Andrea. I think we can move on to Helen.
Hi, everyone. Bear with me and I will share my screen. Is that everybody seeing that?
Yep,
yeah.
Perfect.
Excellent. So I am Helen Lavery and I am Regional Engagement Manager with Zero Waste Scotland, and I cover the Highlands and Islands region, and I'm based just outside of Inverness near Kiltarlity, so probably not too far from some of you today. In my regional role, I work in partnership with Highlands and Islands Enterprise, and I also work with businesses, social enterprises, communities, and other public bodies to help create a more circular economy for the Highlands and Islands region. So a bit of background to Zero Waste Scotland first. We are funded by the Scottish Government and through European Regional Development Funds, and we exist to lead Scotland to use products and resources responsibly. And we focus our work on where we can have the biggest impact on climate change. And everything we do here at Zero Waste Scotland is informed by research, and we use these insights to inform policy and to motivate individuals and businesses to embrace the environmental, economic, and also the social benefits of a more circular economy. Now, we can never really talk about the circular economy without first having a look at our current dominant linear model, where we take resources from source, we make something from them, we use it, and then we dispose of it. And this linear model is what drove the Industrial Revolution. It's allowed people to overcome challenges around food production, housing and clothing. It's driven technological advances and innovations for decades. But today, the downsides of that linear model are really increasingly apparent and damaging. So I'm going to do a quick quiz, if everybody's up for it, which will start to help us sort of change our thought processes. So I've got 3 questions. Hopefully the slides don't jump on again and give you the answers. I've got 3 questions, so we'll just run through them. So the first one is, on average, what percentage of its life do you think a standard domestic car is driven for? Any thoughts? Please feel free to shout out.
Or
So pre-COVID.
Pre-COVID.
Yeah. 30% of its life.
10%.
10%. Any other thoughts? Higher, lower? So
5%.
I would go much lower and say 1 or 2%.
Yeah, 1 or 2%.
Well, it's 8%, but this is pre-COVID, so I know for certain my car hasn't moved for quite a long time. But yeah, it's pretty staggering that for 92% of a car's life, it is parked up and not being used. And then the second one, and again, this is an average, so no DIY whizzies. So on average, how many minutes is a standard domestic household drill used for in its life? And this time is, how many minutes do we think it's used during its lifespan?
48.
48 minutes. Anyone else?
Mine has been being used for about 200 minutes today already.
You don't count. So
this is domestic, Matt. This is not commercial.
Only 13 minutes, which really begs the question why we all need individual drills within our household. And then finally, from field to fork, what percentage of the food we produce is used and what percentage just goes to waste?
Oh, it's 75% goes to waste or something like that.
80% to waste, I would say.
30% to waste.
Yeah,
very close. 33% waste, which is still a staggering amount considering the amount of time and energy that goes into producing that food, distributing it, and then for it to all just go to waste. So it's still pretty staggering amount there. And I think that the issues with our current systems not being sustainable has been really quite apparent for some time, and the challenges that we're facing in the midst of COVID-19 really highlights the vulnerabilities of this linear model further. And only around 8.6% of all extracted resources are being reused or recycled globally. And this not only has significant environmental impacts, but it also limits our ability to respond to crisis and to shock. 4/5 of Scotland's carbon footprint is generated by the vast amounts of goods and materials which we produce, consume, and throw away, often after just one use. And we import roughly half this stuff from countries overseas where the impact on biodiversity, habitat, and water security is arguably even more damaging. So as we are looking towards recovery from the current pandemic, the government is recognising that rebuilding can't just be about returning the economy to its previous state. And we're planning a green recovery, so building back better by doing more differently to make things last. And the circular economy is going to play a big part in this, allowing us to collectively meet the Scottish Government's pledge to end Scotland's contribution to the climate crisis by 2045. And I think we've already seen entrepreneurs across Scotland demonstrating how invaluable innovation, collaboration, adaptability, and communication are in an emergency. We've seen major changes in consumer behaviour, people shopping locally and less often, and as a result, we've seen quite a significant drop in household food waste, just due to better meal planning, and businesses have adapted really quickly, increasing local sales and also increasing their local customer base as well.
Helen, can I just come in there? I don't think the slides are moving on.
Oh, I don't have one for this section, so.
All right, okay. That's all right.
We'll move on in a second. I think that all that provides really strong foundations to rebuild a much greener and fairer economy for Scotland as we move out of the pandemic. So what is the circular economy? And the circular economy is a fundamental shift in the way that we manufacture, use and view all products and materials. And it reduces waste to a minimum by recovering and reusing as many products and materials as possible over and over again. So in contrast to that linear model, it is a make, remake, reuse economy. And through maximising and maintaining the value of resources, we can cut consumption of raw materials vulnerable to climate risks and build supply chains that are diverse, distributed, flexible and resilient. So the circular economy is built on 3 core principles. So I'm looking over here because I've got my slides on the screen. It's built on 3 core principles that you'll see in this slide. And 1, design out waste and pollution. 2, keep products and materials in use. And 3, regenerate natural systems. And within this continuous loop, there are 2 cycles, technical and biological. In biological cycles, materials such as food, cotton, wood are designed to be fed back into the system, regenerating living systems. And in technical cycles, we recover and restore products, components and materials through reuse, repair, remanufacture, and as a last resort through recycling. And as a result of these sort of core principles, we need to change our business models in order to help capture greater value from products, whilst developing this new type of relationship with the supply chain to allow us to keep valuable resources in use for longer. And one of the biggest differences is the customer's role. So the focus is no longer on consumption, but instead on use and on function. And this means that all businesses have to build long-term relationships into their business models. And the circular economy offers businesses across all sectors an opportunity to make significant savings and profits while offering that greater resilience too. Holding on to value from products, parts, resources, it creates a much more efficient way of working, which ultimately leads to less spend on raw materials. For consumers, the circular economy will provide high quality, functional and safe products, which are efficient and affordable, they'll last longer and be designed for reuse, repair and really high quality recycling. And I think it's also worth noting that creating more sustainable business models isn't just about the environment. It can save money, it can build brand affinity with customers, it can provide businesses with a competitive advantage, it can boost reputation, and it demonstrates what your customers are saying is important to you. And we at Zero Waste Scotland have previously calculated the economic benefits of a circular economy, offering a potential £3 billion boost for Scotland. So what does this model of circular economy mean for the tourism sector? And circular tourism, a coin that we've only just started using within our organisation, and we're very aware that we don't want to throw out even more terms into the sustainable tourism space. But in terms of how we look at the circular economy, tourism is quite an under-researched area, and work to date, both done by Zero Waste Scotland and work done internationally, is focused very much on resource-intensive sectors where circular models are much more easily embedded and much better understood. However, we recognise that for circular economy to work in Scotland, it has to address all sectors and all geographical areas, from our cities to our most rural and sparsely populated regions. I think the tourism sector presents a really interesting area for us to focus on, as it integrates and merges into so many different other sectors: construction, food and drink, creative industries, finance and business services. And given the diverse nature of the sectoral reach, there's potential to positively impact a huge part of Scotland's economy by moving to more circular tourism models. So as I said, we've been doing a bit of work on circular tourism within Zero Waste Scotland and have come up with this definition on the screen. So as circular tourism, as capturing the value of all materials and resources utilised by the tourism sector, keeping them in use for as long as possible and finding localised solutions to keep them within the value chain. And it is a take, make, use, remodel for all tourism businesses. And to bring it to life, I wanted to go through a number of circular strategies that we need to focus on in order to achieve a circular economy in Scotland. And I'll use some examples that relate directly to the tourism sector. So I will run through each of the strategies with a few examples. So the first one, probably the most important one, is design. And design really sits at the heart of the circular economy. To change the system, it requires us to redesign everything from products, business models, regions, to those linear systems that have lasted for centuries. And we need to educate and inspire the design industry to take up this challenge. So when something is designed, really important decisions are made, and these impact on how it's manufactured, used, and what happens to it when it's no longer used or wanted. And it's really difficult to go back and change those decisions after the design stage. More than 3 out of 4 decisions that directly influence material selection and manufacturing processes are determined in the design phase, and over 80% of the ecological costs are determined before a product is even created. So we have to design products that are easily repaired or remanufactured, look at more modular designs, and consider how we can ensure that the materials used remain within the value chain, with manufacturers taking on board that extended producer responsibility. Now, as tourism activity providers, this might not feel hugely relevant, but considering how all the products that you are using are manufactured, or even looking at how you source these, could potentially be done in circular ways. Now I'm going to show you a quick video of a UK company who are redesigning entire products to become more circular. So I'm going to show you a short video looking at Isla Bikes and their Imagine project. And hopefully I've turned the sound on. Just shout out if it doesn't work. I think I ticked the box.
In the 1920s, some top light bulb makers realised that they weren't selling enough bulbs and that their businesses were in danger. Their solution, radical for the time, was to make their product worse, so that it would have to be replaced more often. It saved their industry, but today it is costing us the earth. Economies across the globe have adopted the model, and the rate of consumption has accelerated. Manufacturing everywhere is based on taking raw material, making products, and, when they are finished with, throwing them away. Today we dump an enormous 2.1 billion tonnes of waste, and 99% of the stuff we buy we throw away within 6 months. This can't go on.
Sustainability is a global issue. I think the solutions are going to come from individuals all the way around the world that are motivated to do things differently and come up with smart, practical solutions to the problems that we all face. We're embarking on a new project. It's very exciting, and we're hoping that once again that our customers are going to be very involved and a part of this new adventure for us. We're developing a small range of much more sustainably made bicycles. We will manufacture those in the UK and then rent them. The ownership of the bicycle, and therefore the responsibility for the raw materials, will remain with us. And when one child's grown out of the bicycle, it'll come back to us and we'll refurbish it and then rent it to another child. We're going to have to rethink every step of how we make bicycles, how we provide bicycles for families. And to do that, we will be looking at the way bicycles were made in the past, and then combining that with new technologies to come up with something for the future. It's our aspiration to become the cycle industry experts in the sustainable supply of bicycles. I feel really excited about it and a little bit scared as well.
Here it comes.
The biggest pleasure for me is always when I'm out and about and just coming across a child that's riding one of our bicycles.
Amazing!
Utopia is a bicycle that lasts forever.
So our second strategy that we look at is resource recovery. So using byproducts and co-products to unlock hidden value by introducing energy, materials, products and resources back into the life cycle. And of course, maximising resources leads to less waste, cutting environmental impacts, but also wastage costs for businesses. So a good example of this, every year in the UK, 70 million bars of soap and 200 million travel-sized toiletries are discarded by the hospitality sector, and these usually end up in landfill. And we have organisations like Keep Clean Conscience, who are working alongside hotels and toiletry manufacturers to ensure that the maximum amount of partially used soaps and toiletries are recovered, repurposed, and then redistributed for the benefit for those most in need of hygiene products. And we have local examples too. Of people looking to capture value from climbing shoes at the end of their usable life, using the materials to make new products. And we've also got an organisation collecting old bed linen from accommodation providers and using them to create sustainable tote bags. Across the Highlands and Islands, we're also seeing examples of communities adding value to waste, so looking at models for community anaerobic digestion or composting too. Our next strategy is enabling technologies. So design, manufacturing, distribution can all be done digitally and in efficient ways that reduce environmental impact. For example, monitoring product usage to reduce energy consumption, cutting down on labour and material needs through 3D printing, and streamlining distribution. For the tourism sector, digital technologies allow the creation of platforms that can influence the customer journey. And a good example of this is EcoBnB. And this is a booking platform which increases the visibility of accommodation providers adopting to circular as well as sustainable practices. So it helps customers to identify and book stays with greener options. So their criteria include 100% renewable energy, organic or local food, no disposable packaging, and their list goes on. And of course, we've also got the Green Tourism Portal, which is another great example of using digital to influence the sector. We've got providing a product as a service. So here the manufacturer retains ownership of the product and provides it as a service to the customer. And this model is an opportunity to offer greater customer service and to also retain customers for life. And it opens opportunities for tourism providers to look at options to invest in usage rather than ownership. And a great example of a Scottish company offering this is Glasgow-based Egg Lighting. And they operate under a model that lighting should last as long as buildings. So their lighting is provided as a service, and the LED smart technology is modular built so it can be repaired easily. And if parts of the system need removed, the materials are refurbished, keeping them within the cycle. And our next strategy is leasing. So here, again, the manufacturer retains ownership and is responsible for delivery, maintenance and take back. So from tents to travel cots, visitors often need items just for the duration of their holiday, and creating models that will allow them to access these items at a local level cuts out the need for individuals to purchase and only use for a short time. And sharing visitor resources represents an income generating opportunity. It saves holidaymakers the hassle of transporting bulky items long distances, and it prevents materials and resources ending up as waste. And a really good example of this is London-based AirTots. So they're a company that allows visitors to hire a large range of kids' kits including baths, cots, high chairs, whilst visiting London. And they partner with a number of accommodation providers, so guests can book the items they require and they'll be waiting for them in their accommodation when they arrive. Remanufacture, where products at end of usable life are disassembled into components, and those components are then brought back to original quality, then used to create new products that are identical to the original or often even higher spec. And remanufacturing creates real business value, and it's also really good value for customers too, as they get high quality as new products for a reduced price. So offering a sensible and sustainable route for tourism businesses to consider when purchasing new assets. We have reuse, so using products and materials for their intended use for as long as possible. And again, this model can be utilised by tourism businesses when buying new items, so such as sourcing second-hand textiles. And we've got companies like the Curtain Agency in Edinburgh, and they sell a huge range of second-hand, high-quality curtains, and they also offer to sell your curtains, taking on a small commission for the service as well. So looking at these alternative solutions to buying items for your business. Repair. So again, design is really important here to ensure that products can be separated and disassembled for repair easily. And we've got interesting companies such as iFixit, who have developed a model around making repair information, spare parts and tools available to the public, so consumers have the resources they need to fix their own consumer electronics. And then finally, we have the sharing economy. So sharing assets across multiple users, either through the manufacturer retaining ownership or peer-to-peer sharing, which is a really interesting model for our rural communities across the Highlands and Islands. And a good example of this is Mull and Iona Community Trust, and they have developed a community fridge to prevent good quality food going to waste. So surplus food is provided by local businesses or members of the public, and then it's made available to those who have a need for it within the community. And the fridge is promoted across the island to tourists, including on the ferry, encouraging them to donate their leftover provisions at the end of their stay. And it prevents food being chucked in the bin on island and keeps them within the value chain, being used by those in need within the community. And it's a great example of waste prevention through a sharing model, creating a mechanism for goods to remain within the value chain. And I think across these 9 strategies, we can see that the circular economy provides opportunities right across the tourism supply chain, from the manufacturing of physical assets to the way that tourism businesses operate and visitors engage with those options to move away from consuming vast amounts of resources to instead using services, sharing and leasing to keep products and materials within the value chain for much longer. Now, we can share these after the session. I won't read through them all, conscious of time. So we've created some top tips for tourism businesses. So really, it's not all about creating new innovative products. Have a look about how these strategies could be implemented in your existing operations. And also, I think we've picked up on it already, is collaboration is key. How can you work with other businesses and the community to improve efficiencies and create a more sustainable local economy? Now, I wanted to close my little session here with an overview of some of the support that we offer at Zero Waste Scotland. So a really good place to start is taking a look at our Circular Economy Accelerator site, which has got some really good resources and case studies too. And of particular interest might be our sort of introduction to circular economy worksheets. And these worksheets can help you identify circular opportunities within your own business, and also important for the tourism sectors, opportunities to collaborate with other businesses to reduce waste and to maximise the life cycle of resources and products. And if you decide to complete these worksheets, then please feel free to send them on to me, and we can draw any links or recommendations from the information that you provide. Our regional approach to the way we work is really important to the development of the circular economy in Scotland. So again, please get in touch directly if you want to talk about circular economy models for your own business or for the sector or for the region. We also have our Circular Economy Business Support Network, or SCEBN, which is a bit easier to say, and it's overseen by a really active steering group and provides opportunities for businesses in Scotland to come together to focus on collaborative action and work together to drive forward the circular economy in Scotland. And we can also run circular economy innovation workshops with individual businesses or with cohorts of businesses as well to bring out circular business models and concepts within your own business. And we also have a huge range of resources on our main website, from food waste reduction guidance to circular construction best practice. And again, I'll make sure that we send out the links directly to our site and to some of the information that might be useful for you. I'm nearly finished, don't worry. I just wanted to also highlight our energy efficiency business support service. Again, we're really good with these roll off the tongue titles for our programmes. And this has replaced the Resource Efficient Scotland programme, or RES, as you might have known it. And the service is now completely focused on energy, and it offers free advice and technical support, shares best practice and new technologies to support organisations to be more energy efficient and to reduce their carbon footprint. And businesses can now receive a free virtual energy audit as we're in lockdown at the moment. And fairly recently, we also updated our 0% interest loan scheme. So SMEs can now get up to 30% cashback grant for eligible costs, up to a maximum of £10,000 for any energy efficiency measures, and up to 75% cashback for eligible costs, up to a maximum of £10,000 for any air, ground or water source heat pumps, biomass boilers or solar thermal renewable technologies. And it is a time limited fund, so if you are looking at improving efficiencies within your own business, then it's worth getting in touch with the service. And again, we'll send a link out to the website where you can refer yourself into the service. So I think that's me. I'll hand back to Stuart. Thank you so much for your time. I hope some of that was useful and a useful introduction into the circular economy, and get you to start thinking about how some of these concepts relate to your own business.
We've got a wee question in from Andrew. What was the name of the lighting company again that you mentioned?
Egg Lighting.
Egg Lighting.
Yeah, again, we can. I think we've got a case study, so we could send out a bit more information after the session if anyone's interested.
Okay, and the post that Louise has just shared there as well about some of the things that are happening in Lochaber in terms of using second-hand ski kit and bikes, and also some of the local businesses that are involved in sustainable manufacture, like the Highland Soap Company,
yeah,
who supply into the Jahama Estates and Venison and Food Lochaber. So it looks like obviously there are, there's green shoots of things where businesses are embracing some of these strategies at that at that sort of more local level.
I suppose where you're really, Helen, I suppose we're really coming from, it's businesses taking a step back to rethink how they do things. Like with adventure tourism, there's canoes, kayaks, paddle boards, ropes, crampons. Oh, Mike, nice to see you back. Sorry, I just had to get that in there. Crampons or various things of kits that I suppose could be recycled, or it's a lot of that's going to depend on the manufacturer of those coming up with the process that makes the end user, being the consumer, but the venture tourism business, is able to then rethink how they purchase these or can share them or lease them or something like that.
Yeah, definitely. It's just thinking slightly differently about how we consume everything, really, and moving away from that consumption to more thinking about how we use things and how we can extend the life of things.
Okay. Things like, ropes and carabiners and things like that, there's some certain manufactured British standards for safety. These things don't have they have a shelf life before you've got to either test them or replace them, unfortunately, in terms of people's lives on the mountains.
Yeah, I think Louise wants to come in here. You need to unmute.
So sorry, I'm getting all confused with my hands at the moment. I never forgot what I was going to say. No, sorry.
Oh, well, that's okay. Well, the hand will go down in a minute. And Mike, we look forward to seeing the content later today.
I got some very good content today. It was worth it. Worth every step. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that was really helpful, Helen. I suppose it's that real sort of introduction. And I suppose some of the things that I was writing down there is more of a way, if we can hand over to, we've got Matt and Andy are just going to give very short presentations on their approach to sustainability, quite different. Matt's got quite big vision on how he wants to do and move ahead. And Andy's introducing new products. So I think we thought, Fergus and I picked these up, we're talking with all of you in the one-to-ones, really helpful for us to understand your businesses. And we thought there was just good opportunity for Matt and then Andy to share, and then we can have just a little wind up, catch up at the end of the workshop, go from there. So Matt, pass over to you, 10 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Can you all hear me? Hopefully. I decided to put my hat on so that the COVID hair that Fergus mentioned earlier didn't distract you all. Well, thank you. Yeah, I'm Matt. I'm up on Sky, and I've been here in May. It will be 10 years, believe it or not. And I started my business 8 years ago, and the business has merged from one thing to another, and quite recently happened to coincide with the first lockdown and this year. So it's a target sports business. We've got a premises, and I'm not going to do any slides, but I have got some photos I'll try and share with you. And the target sports business is very small scale. I am a sole trader. We operate out of 10 acres of land just outside Portree on Skye, and we're very much kind of focused on small scale, small groups, one-on-one tuition or high quality tuition. We're based out of a off-grid, solar powered, wind powered, and hopefully at some stage soon hydro powered cabin on the land, and that is what has kind of taken the emphasis this year in the location and where we are, as to what we're going to do post COVID, and that basically means quite a big shift in terms of the business from a very, very tourism based business to focusing more on our local community. We've always been very community orientated, and essentially the product going forward is called ACE Academy, and it's a forest school, but for all ages, and it's handing over our premises from what was previously a paintball centre, or the woodlands at the site, a paintball centre, and converting that or rewilding that to become a classroom for the community to use. So that would mean we would have an 8-acre woodland classroom just overlooking the Outer Hebrides, lots of wildlife everywhere, and the learning opportunities would hopefully mimic the learning opportunities I've had in my 10 years on Skye. When I first arrived here, I was a city boy from Leicester. I liked my adventures, but I wasn't really probably geared up for life on a Hebridean island. And in the 10 years, I've grown different skills I call island life skills. And it's hopefully going to be a case of being able to pass those skills on to tourism, but also local groups, family groups. We have solar panels on the site. We're developing a hydro scheme to power the site. The site is made out of recycled materials, and basically trying to share that expertise, or you could call it, or share that those skills. Hopefully we're going to start with a pilot scheme as soon as restrictions allow. I was inspired by this project by a location in Wales called CAT, the Centre for Alternative Technology. I'm not sure if anyone's been there before, but it's a fantastic set up. It's in a small disused quarry in Wales, and they've got everything you need to live and work in a circular economy and live in a more and run your business in a more sustainable way. So that's given me lots of inspiration. I hope to be doing a little bit of work with them. Lots of work coming up with the community. We've always done a lot of environmental work here, cleanups and so on. So hopefully our new academy is going to get involved in local groups. We have a program with Sky Connect called Voluntourism. And that's hopefully a wing of what we're going to be introducing in the future, is getting groups up to come and use our woodland as a classroom, as a base for these projects. Hopefully that's going to end up being self-funding, but it is going to be a social enterprise, a community interest company once we finish this pilot scheme. But hoping to have the participants, whether that's high school age groups or older groups or smaller children, making things on site out of recycled materials. We use a lot of pallets. We've got a lot of raw materials on the premises, and hoping get involved in this hydro scheme, building dams, experiments, and loads of classes in that area. The business will go alongside that. There's a development of the premises and trying to make that more sustainable for the future, utilising rainwater collection and as many recycled materials for the new premises as we can use. And it's basically been a big change of lifestyle for me this year. I had the opportunity to self-isolate at my premises, my cabin, at the start of the first lockdown, and realised what an amazing location it was. And therefore, why would I use that area for paintball or airsoft for monetary gain when there's much better uses for that piece of land? I was fortunate last year to purchase the land, and it coincided with the purchase of the land that I fell in love with my patch of land and had a bit of an epiphany. And then COVID happened, and I had the opportunity to rip it up and start again. So I had a really, really good response to going public with the project for ACE Academy, which we did a couple of weeks ago, about getting some students coming along. Had loads of feedback and loads of people getting in touch to collaborate and work with us, and loads of ideas. We've got some training courses coming up. And yeah, we're just taking a bit of a U-turn and focusing on what made us and the business unique, which was not necessarily the product we sold, but the environment it was in. And the ACE base, as I call it, has become an attraction. So we're looking forward to inviting people up there for a slightly different purpose. Circular economy is a big part of that. I was really happy to hear the speakers before me, and I learned a lot from what was said there. So it looks like what we're doing is not necessarily completely unique. There's a lot of people making effort to reduce, reuse, recycle in their businesses, but we're pulling a lot of things together at the same time. And it's a big project. It's a lot of explaining. I haven't put any pictures up in this because I thought I'd just wing it. It wasn't working very well, so I didn't want any more technical hitches. But if anyone wants to have a chat after this at any stage, if anyone's on Sky when this is all over and wants to come and visit our location, get involved in a few projects. If anyone's never built a hydroelectric system out of breeze blocks and scrap, hopefully we'll have a facility where you can come and do it, and learn and take that information on and teach other people and become inspired, hopefully, and have a slight change in lifestyle and how you run your business. And I'd love to share it with as many people as possible. So that's about it at the minute. If anyone's got any questions, I'm happy to answer them while keeping it brief.
That's great, Matt. That's really, really much appreciated. The images that you've got, if you send them to me, I'll drop them into the PowerPoint presentation, and then everyone's able to see those. I think Matt's going on quite a journey, and I just think that his bold decision to move from paintballing and airsoft, and switching over to what he's doing, it just shows you you know, the care and how much passion and interest he's got in the local community and everything. And I think your volunteer tourism is, Andrea touched base on that in her presentation, exactly what the consumer is looking for now in terms of authentic experiences. They want to be able to go and learn and see and do something. And whether that's rebuilding a dry stone dike to even just being involved and helping a local community, some great opportunities. And I think Helen's just put up something that might be interest you, Matt, in one of the chats. So the Shieling project, I think I sent you that link before. Yeah,
there's a lot going on, and I implore anyone to take a look at the website for CAT as well, which is a very overarching facility. And if you go to CAT, you just wander around. You need a notebook to take in all the different ideas that you would come out with, whether that was how you build your office or how you power your office. We're 100% off grid at the moment and looking to improve our power output. That was never ever to do with an ethical choice when I started the business. That was circumstances, and we had to make the best of it. But I'm not saying that a lot of businesses could go the way we've gone, but taking little bits from different things, there's lots of ways to do stuff, and I'll send some photos across.
That'd be great. Thanks very much, Matt. Andy, are you ready to go? Oh, there he is.
Yeah, I'm here. So I'm going to try and share a picture with you guys so you can see where my idea come from. And here we go. So this is a scene. This picture was taken 2 summers ago down in Glencoe. Glencoe is a really busy area. I do quite a bit of guiding there, as I'm sure a lot of businesses do that are based in Lochaber. And this just shows you the impact. Cars parking, car parks over full, tour buses stopping along the side. But apart from the environmental problem, it comes from this. There's a problem, like when I turn up for a trip and I'm trying to find a space for my clients, I'm trying to find a space for myself, I realised that was 2 vehicles that was actually going to these places. So what I decided to do was, from seeing scenes like this for the whole summer, was to try and come up with a series of eco-friendly trips that basically incorporate using public transport links so I can minimize scenes like this, using like a local train service on the West Highland Line to get to Loch Ossian, for example, using local service to go up, bus service to go up the Glen, Glen Nevis, and just trying to promote car-free tourism, which I think is the way forward and how we're all going to have to look at this. I'm trying to stop sharing my screen. Here we go.
That's you back. That's good.
Yeah. So not only will it stop overuse of these places and over parking, but hopefully in the long run it's got an environmental benefit. I mean, local people in the Highlands are all fed up, car parks being choked up, roads being choked up, people parking in totally inappropriate places. And I believe we as tourism businesses have a responsibility to look after these places and try and promote a more sustainable way of exploring them. And yeah, that's basically me.
No, that's great, Andy, because you've got it's 3 or 4 of these eco-friendly guided walks that you've got on your site now.
Yeah, 5 of them I believe have